Okay, so if you can just say your name for the take,
Okay.
please.
Hi, I'm Joseph Chan.
And when were you born?
So I was born in 1980.
Yes. And where were you born?
So I was born in Leeds.
In Leeds.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I haven't lived in the UK for a long time. I only came back again in 2000.
Okay.
So relatively short still.
Yeah, yeah. When you came back, did you move to London?
No, I actually came back to UK to start studying.
Mm.
So I did that for 6 years, a bachelor's and a master's.
Mm.
I moved to London in 2006. Well, Greater London. But I actually moved to Samuel Garside House when the properties were completed. So for me, that was, I think, 2013.
Oh, so you're one of the first
So yeah.
first residents here.
So actually, I was the last one in this particular block to get the property.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, around September time, 2013, that's when I got the keys and moved in.
Yeah. What was your experience of kind of applying to live here? Or what kind of attracted you to
So
the property, the area?
yeah, lots of green,
Mm.
and also there's quite a bit of space. Of course, it's a little bit of a distance from London, but in my own personal circumstance, because I bought it by myself,
Mm.
I wasn't in a financial position to purchase something a lot more expensive.
Mm.
So this one was in my price range. The space itself seemed big enough,
Mm.
and that's why I decided to go for it.
Mm.
Yeah, unfortunately, when I first came here and I asked for two-bed properties, they didn't have any. So I left my contact details. I was on holiday actually when they rang me back.
Mm.
Said somebody cancelled really late. I came back, I looked at some plans, and went from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, luckily I got it.
Was that kind of when they were trying to advertise it? Was that one of the selling points that it was affordable, more affordable,
Yeah,
kind of open spaces, that kind of thing?
indeed. And of course, some of the pictures. Yeah, it looked all very nice. And again, also, what we're looking at, the balconies,
Mm.
big selling point as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, they are pretty big, and yeah, as such, they are quite attractive.
Yeah.
So.
When you first moved in, what were your first impressions of your first few months, let's say, living here?
Yeah, so but when I moved in, so when we look across the street, all the properties weren't there yet. So
Mm.
we thought, okay, yeah, lots of wide open space is really nice, and it's really quiet.
Mm.
Of course, like I said, it's quite distant, quite remote, but if you've got a car, and also there were always talks about increasing the ways of getting to parking station. So yeah, whilst keeping that in mind, I thought, okay, that'll improve.
Mm.
Unfortunately, 6 years later, still hasn't improved quite a lot, but yeah, we get by.
Mm. Well, the bus was, because there's the free buses.
There's,
no,
the
two buses. Yeah. Sorry.
So actually, at first there was only the one bus,
Mm.
and I think the 387. But since then,
Oh.
it's become the EL3, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's kind of now taking a detour, but again, where I go to at the bus stop, yeah, you've got two options really.
Mm.
So they do go frequent, and I think that the EL1 is a 24-hour bus.
Yeah.
So there is a connection, but yeah,
Okay.
not as frequent, of course.
Yeah. So wait, do you get that bus?
I normally get the EL3,
Yeah.
but it kind of depends when I get to the bus stop and which one comes first.
Is it really? I've never been here during rush hour. Just out of curiosity, is it really busy in the morning and the evening?
It is, yeah, but it does depend on when you actually leave, because people try and get in at 9 o'clock,
Mm.
but also around that time the ring road is completely stuck,
Mm.
and that's where the 1 3 buses drive,
Yeah, crossover.
so they will be affected.
Mm.
And also, of course, during my normal day, yeah, again, depending on when I leave, I'll get affected by that.
Yeah. So, for those first few months,
Mhm.
did you were there anything that caused you alarm or anything, any problems that you experienced with
Yeah,
management?
well, it's in terms of non-management wise, if it's new property or any property that you move into, there's always a snag list,
Mm.
and I gave that as well. And they tried to resolve as much as they could. There's a couple of things that they couldn't,
Mm.
which was unfortunate, but apparently they had their reasons. In terms of management company, so when I first moved in, it was actually managed by Pinnacle. Yeah, in terms of management company, they always send out communications. They said, "Oh, we'll try to resolve this and that." The usual bills, of course. Every once so often the bills go up. But looking at the amount of work they did, and also having experienced it whilst I was actually here, it didn't seem like quite a lot. So there's always the outstanding questions of, okay, well, if you guys are asking for so much, then how come we can't actually see a lot of it? When we walk around, or even if you look outside the communal areas, for example, outside in terms of plants, or even where the kids play, that's always fully overgrown, and the rubbish bins downstairs, for example, they're sometimes like chock full. So I don't know if that's to be expected, but yeah, there's always improvements that can be made.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess, as you say, all new builds, there's going to be problems.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's just the way in which they communicate to the residents that live there.
So, in terms of communication with Pinnacle, every time, we had some issues, I think they used to do monthly, it's like leaflets, but I think if somebody were to raise a particular issue, they wouldn't send out an email notification or anything, so I wouldn't particularly see that. So no, and also it wasn't until much later on when they actually put down the notice boards in the communal areas. So they weren't there in the beginning.
So is there communal area still here?
So when I'm talking about the communal area, I'm talking about the staircases.
Right.
So when you're coming through the front door, before in front of the lift, you can see some of the boards with the closed off windows.
Right. Yeah.
So they didn't used to be there before. So they only got put down there maybe about 2 years ago or something.
Okay.
So
yeah. And so you moved in about 6 years before the fire.
Correct.
In the kind of lead up to that, had there been any kind of concern? Because obviously the wooden cladding is still there. Was there any concern in the lead up to that?
Yeah, I mean, because when I signed my my lease or my deposit, my property wasn't actually available to view because it was still being done. So I couldn't actually see anything from the insides or whatnot. But in terms of the balcony, when I actually got the keys and I got the tour of the property on the inside, even the building manager, the person that led me around, they said, look, even though there's lots of wooden cladding, the materials that we're using, it's all safety checked and it should be fire retardant. But of course, turned out not to be the case. And from what I've been told by my other neighbours, they've raised their own concern when they first moved in. So there was some people 6 years ago, some people last year perhaps. Even after Grenfell, again, we raised it. We got confirmation saying that everything's fine. But lo and behold, we all know what happened.
Yeah.
The wooden cladding turned out not to be as fire retardant as they said they was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all know the outcome. So.
When you, or not you personally, but when residents raised concerns about the cladding, and they came back to you and said, "Oh no, it's fine." Was that? Do you know if that was based on them coming in doing new tests, or were they just giving a kind of standard response?
Well, if it was a new test, I've never seen anybody do it. From what I've been told, again, it was just a normal short email saying, "Hi, thank you for your inquiry. But no, this is the material that we've used. It is meant to be fire retardant."
Yeah.
So no, when I've spoken to my neighbours, nobody's actually come round and done some particular testing at all. So no, which is also quite interesting because in our lease it is mentioned that we've got exclusive rights to use the balconies. So we don't even own them, but at the same time they are asking us to actually maintain them, in terms of making sure that the material on it such as tables and chairs, we can't do, say, washing, and we can't store bikes, you can't store shelves, but also in terms of maintenance, make sure you do yourself. So I find that quite surprising, as in you don't own it, but can you please maintain it? but at the same time, well, you might see a bill for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
that makes
understand
no
where it's coming
sense.
from.
I mean, your door literally leads onto it,
Yeah,
but it's not yours, even though only you
yeah,
can use it
it's
as well.
yeah, exclusive use. I mean, I can understand because everybody's got their own balcony,
Yeah.
but saying own balcony, well, it's not even ours. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
own access to a balcony.
Yeah. Just on a side note, in your experience of living here, are people quite communicative with each other? Is there kind of a good kind of community relationships between neighbours and that kind of thing?
Well, I personally, on this corridor, I know my neighbours quite well because sometimes we all come at the same time or we leave at the same time,
Yeah.
and then you have stop for a chat. But otherwise, yeah, because it's a block of flats and there's so many different separate sections,
Yeah, yeah,
you don't tend to speak to everybody a lot.
yeah,
But since the fire incident, I would say that's massively increased.
yeah.
It made us as a community much stronger.
Mm.
Of course, before that, we had the Residents Association. And yeah, lots of people would go there, but it wouldn't be everybody at the same time or regularly.
Yeah.
But like I said, since the fire, yeah, we've come a lot closer,
Mm.
which I am actually grateful for.
Yeah. Were you active in the Residents Association before the fire?
No, not a lot,
Mm.
because yeah, for me again, also for myself, there wasn't a lot of work.
Yeah.
I should have. I take that down to myself. But yeah, better late than never.
Yeah,
I'd say.
definitely.
So, yeah.
So if we now talk specifically about the fire,
Yeah.
would you be okay just to kind of recount your experience of the day itself?
Yeah, so that was actually on a Sunday.
Mm.
I actually left the property quite early because I actually went to a furniture store, do some shopping, have some nice enjoyable day off.
Yeah.
And by the time I came back, I think it was around 2 o'clock. So having put down all my stuff that I bought and putting something on the stove because I hadn't eaten yet, I just took it easy. But suddenly I heard a knock on my door, and my front door, it's all the way at the end of my corridor from inside the property whilst I was in the kitchen. So first I thought, well, is that the door or not? Because it wasn't too loud. So I didn't think too much of it. But then shortly afterwards, the knock was quite a lot louder. So I thought, okay, no, this can't be right. So I went to the door, and I saw my neighbour right next door. She actually, I saw her running towards the exit. So then I said, no, something must be really off. So I quickly grabbed some clothing because I actually changed into some more comfortable clothing.
Mm.
Grabbed my keys, grabbed my wallet. I put on my shoes. I grabbed my door handle, and at that point the smoke alarm started to go off, which is a smoke alarm inside my property. So I thought, no, this can't be right. So also before that, I still managed to think about my stove because I had it on. So I quickly turned that off. I ran through the door, locked it. I ran outside. I couldn't see anything. There was no visible smoke. But by the time I got to the front door and I ran through it, first thing I saw was loads of people standing outside. And then when I ran through the front door, there was this complete change of temperature. So it was cool inside, but then of course, getting close to the front door, suddenly immense kind of heat. So I ran a couple of meters and I looked back, and yeah, the side of the building was on fire.
Mm.
So I made sure I got to a safe distance. I couldn't believe it. And I looked at the fire, then I looked around me, see if I could see my neighbours. I saw some of them. And yeah, we had to wait until the fire brigade came. It took them about maybe 7 minutes or so. And even whilst they were there, maybe even earlier, but whilst we were there, they weren't immediately starting to put all the stuff together to start trying to put down the fire. I think they had some issues trying to find proper hydrants that were working. But in that time, yeah, the fire, because of the wooden cladding and the issues with it, it started to spread quite a lot. So by the time they started using water, there was already a significant amount of fire. So yeah, that was really my my experience with how it all started.
What happened to you and your neighbours that night?
So I stayed outside the property. I was still in disbelief, and I couldn't believe what was happening. And also, I was concerned that the fire might spread even more. Because if the fire happened in the back where I live, because all the properties are connected into the wooden cladding, the issue would have been a lot bigger. But we are quite fortunate that because of the windows of staircases, the wooden cladding was compartmentalized. However, the wind was quite strong, so there could be still a possibility that it would spread. So yeah, I stuck around just to make sure that the fire brigade was doing their job, because a lot of times, we could see all the levels, but then they weren't really trying to extinguish the fire, or where we could see it starting again, even though they had already did that floor in terms of trying to extinguish it. So yeah, like I said, I stayed for maybe about 2 to 3 hours, but there was nothing much more that I could do. So we got told that we had to go to the community centre, which was close to the Thamesview Health Centre, where we had to register ourselves. So I left with some of my neighbours. They kindly offered me a lift. So we went to the community centre. Yeah, we registered, and all we could do really was to wait for more information. So yeah, that was really our evening, just sitting there, not knowing what's going on, but just having to wait all the time for information. Good thing is that the community was really helpful, so they started to gather lots of clothing, lots of amenities, so emergency stuff, toothbrushes, toothpaste, shower gel, like soap and everything, and also food, because we didn't have anything. Some people were wearing less clothing than I was. Basically, everybody that came there, that was a resident at Samuel Garside House, everything that they were carrying or that they were wearing, that was really all the stuff that they had. Whether or not it actually got burned up.
Because you couldn't come back in, obviously.
You couldn't come back, and of course, I quickly realised that we were not be able to go back, at least for that evening. So yeah.
Where did you end up staying that night?
So that night, I was taken to a hotel in Dagenham. There were a lot of residents that were displaced, and they had to last minute try and find a place for everybody. So all the residents of Samuel Garside House were really scattered across. Some were in Barking, some were in Dagenham. So yeah.
I mean, obviously it's quite hard to deal with an emergency like that, but how do you feel the relevant authorities were in dealing with the immediate kind of finding accommodation for the night and this kind of thing?
So in the end, they did get us what we needed, like the emergency stuff and the accommodation. But because the fire just happened, it wasn't like there was any notice or anything, because again, it did happen. So yeah, everything had to be done in such a short notice that even they had to get up to speed. So there was a lot of waiting. So I think the fire happened around 3:30, but it wasn't until 10 o'clock where everybody had a confirmed place to stay. So yeah, I'm appreciative that they could sort it out, because of the short amount of time they had. They also had to scramble, and maybe their processes themselves, they wouldn't gear up for something like this, because there's so many entities involved: London Fire Brigade, police, the property estate management companies, the property owners themselves, perhaps. And then we had ICAP, which is the emergency company that deals with arranging for accommodation. So all these people had to get in gear, and like I said, yeah, maybe they weren't, again, their process was really not fit for this. Yeah, and they were also scrambling around because of that.
Yeah. What actually first, what was the, if you don't mind me asking, the immediate impact on your personal life? Was it like, because obviously, you know, presumably you had to go to work the next day, being a Monday. What was the immediate impact on you?
So luckily I had the day off on Monday. So yeah, in terms of my own holiday allocation, that was fine. But I never knew, of course, how long this would go on for. Because every day since that day, we always had to come back to the community centre, and again, waiting for information. People were still trying to find out what happened. People were still trying to sort out accommodation and everything. It wasn't a short thing to manage, and it couldn't be managed in such a short amount of time either.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really stressful. I took additional days off, and even when I went back to work, which was still in that same week, I couldn't really focus on my job. So half the time I was trying to sort out a lot of my own things for my property. It's like people were saying, well, you need to sort this out and that out. So there was a lot of crisscross communication between residents and council or other companies. So yeah, there was a lot to take into and a lot to deal with. So it was really stressful, and even though it's become easier, I would say that level of stress keeps on coming back from time to time, because we were always in this position where we as the residents wouldn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was always like really a roller coaster. It goes up and it goes down.
Yeah.
It always comes back at some point.
Yeah. How quickly did residents kind of mobilise? Because I saw there was a massive meeting. Is it a week after? Or?
Yeah, correct.
So how quickly did people get together and be like, we've got to do something about this?
Yeah, so we were very fortunate that we've got the Barking Residents Association. So they, as you know, every so often, I think every month, we do have a community meeting. But because of what happened, they managed to organise a meeting pretty soon afterwards, where you had people from Bellway, people from then RMG, because RMG took over from Pinnacle, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, now maybe shorter, I can't remember anymore. But yeah, all the representatives were there just for them, face to face, to give us an update. So yeah, quite appreciative of the Residents Association that they could actually sort this out.
What was said at that first big meeting?
Lots of things were said.
Yeah, I imagine it was a lot.
There was a lot. Yeah.
I guess maybe were there any kind of outcomes from the conversations that were had that night?
Yeah. In terms of not really in terms of the cause, because they were still investigating that, but there was a lot of talks, and also in terms of printed communication to us, talking about the wooden cladding, because the fire originated on the balcony. So they told us that the wooden cladding would be replaced, but before that, before the wooden cladding would be replaced, they would take the appropriate measures to make the wooden cladding fire retardant whilst it's in place until it's been replaced. But well, lo and behold, come the 26th of October, a lot of us have actually moved back. Even before that, mainly the social housing tenants, they had to move back pretty much straight away. I think maybe a week or 2 weeks after the incident. But in terms of the wooden cladding, well, as you can see, it's still here. They've only taken out certain petitions, So really where it's connecting from floor to floor. They've taken out some, I believe, combustible material in the decking, so between the wooden decking itself. But otherwise, yeah, nothing's really been done about the wooden cladding. Even though they said they would verbally during the meeting and in the communication that they sent to us. So yeah, you can expect, you can imagine when I moved back, whilst they haven't done anything, even though they said they would, yeah, I myself was really, not really surprised, but I was upset and frustrated.
Yeah.
And moving back, yeah, it was really anxious, and still to this day. So yeah.
What do they have any kind of explanation as to why they need to have this wooden cladding here? Why is it so integral to the building for it to be there?
I think in my opinion, all the wooden balconies, it's a unique selling point. Of course, it's a property where it's comprised out of flats. People don't have a garden, so the only thing that they do have is a balcony.
I mean, the wood. Why does it need to be? Why does it need to be wood? Can they not? I guess maybe it's the cheapest.
Perhaps
option.
But again, visually, it does look very nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like I said, from the outside, it looks really attractive. From an architecture perspective, creating something like this, where your building is fully enclosed in wooden cladding, instead of just concrete and bricks. Yeah, it does bring out something. So yeah.
So how so you initially moved into into Dagenham in a hotel.
Yeah.
How soon after that were you given temporary accommodation?
So I stayed in I think in 3 different hotels, and that lasted for about, let me think, about 3.5 months.
Really?
So not until the end of September, was I moved to a property that was offered through L&Q. That property was actually offered to me earlier, but when I asked the keys when that actually happened, at that point in time, RMG, they said, no, you guys are moving back. You can't have the property anymore. So yeah, we are fully expecting you to move back, even though that didn't happen. So the move back didn't happen until, again, a month and a half later. But yeah, again, like I said, I only stayed at the private accommodation that I got offered by L&Q for another month until I actually moved back again into Samuel Garside House. And that in itself was also, it had its pros and cons. I mean, the advantages was I had a kitchen and no space, had more space, because even though hotel was always clean and there was internet and the food was provided, I don't know about you, but eating in a hotel day in, day out, for me, it wasn't good for my health.
No.
So at some stage, my stomach was really getting upset. Aside from that, there was a lot of weight gain. So I just needed to have my own space again where I could cook.
Yeah, and just the mental side of living in a hotel.
Yeah. Then again, the disadvantage of the private accommodation offered by L&Q. It was a new kind of accommodation, so fully built from the ground up. Never lived in before, so it was also completely empty. So I also had to take time out to move some stuff over and to get some stuff arranged through a furniture company.
More money.
Well, luckily that was actually accommodated by the insurance company. But in terms of getting my own stuff moved over, a lot of resource in terms of time and effort as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
where was that property?
So that property is about 15 minutes from here. So it's in the new built area, close to the waterside. So River Thames.
Yeah.
So where all the new development phases are.
We talk a little bit about the protest.
Yeah.
Because obviously we are both at the one at Bellway's Homes event. Has there been other protests before that you've been involved in?
Yeah, so we've had plenty of protests. We had one in front of Barking Dagenham Council, and there were also several that were in front of the sales office from L&Q, I believe. Even though it's L&Q, the whole area here is owned by BRL, which also developed Samuel Garside House. So yeah, we felt as a community in this area here that there wasn't enough being done, enough being communicated, and that therefore we actually staged the protests. Because we felt we weren't heard enough. There wasn't enough action on their side. Even though later on they did say, we realised our level of communication should be improved, but no, talk is one, but actually doing it is another.
Yeah.
So,
have you been as an individual resident making inquiries and this kind of thing with the relevant authorities as well? What form does that take?
So there's been like frequent updates from RMG as well since the fire incident. There's also been newsletters, if you want to call it that. So really just short bullet points in terms of what's happening. Whereas the email communication from RMG, it's a bit more specific about the work that's being done. So we do communicate back with our concerns, but again, the level of communication, there wasn't a lot when we did reply back to RMG. So I also feel that I think they were a bit dismissive. So they had their own, I don't know if agenda is the right word, but they already had their own timeline and plan set in stone. Anything that they could and should have done because it got mentioned by the council or by a solicitor, they would be sure that they do that. But otherwise, they would always tell us as the residents, please refer to either this report or that report. So it was really, really cutthroat and really short. It wasn't really personal anymore. Then again, it's an email. You can't really take that personal because it's only text on the screen. But at least you would have expected a bit more compassion and empathy.
Yeah, I mean that's seemingly one of the only ways you can get any contact with them as well. So,
I mean, they did set up a site here at the Rivergate Centre, but it's probably as good as sending an email. It's a bit patronising. We understand your concern, blah blah blah. Trying to do the best we can. Yeah.
Throughout, I guess not just because of the fire, but throughout your time living here, has there been any clear indication of who is ultimately responsible for problems that residents have? Obviously, the fire is a major example of that. But is there a kind of clear sign of who the ultimate authority and responsibility lies with for anything that goes wrong with residents here? No,
I think in my own personal circumstance, because we pay a lot of service charges, because we hire a service management company, any problem that we have, whether it's communal area, whether it's garbage, that's why we hired these people, and that's why we raise all our concerns, in the hopes that, and also because we are paying them, that this would be resolved. But then again, all the communication that we've seen, it always seemed to be like some kind of, we've contacted the people that were here before us because we don't know what they've done, so we're trying to find out what needs to be done. So always like somebody pushing something along, but no, it wasn't really a clear indication of, okay, this person is ultimately responsible, therefore we have contacted this person to sort it out. It was never that case, no.
It's a constant chain of...
It's like, you contact this person or we contact that person to try and sort it out. We'll let you know if we hear anything more, but no.
We never do.
No.
Yeah.
It's kind of like finding a needle in a haystack, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. What are your kind of thoughts for the future living here?
So yeah, now that's happened, well, we've had plenty of communication from them, still saying that they are going to resolve it. But until that time, well, there's a lot that's said, but we still haven't seen anything. I mean, you've walked around at Samuel Garside House. You've seen how the building looks like at the moment. Yeah, there's a lot of outstanding things. So, to be honest, I'm not really faithful that it's going to be resolved in a short amount of time. Whether it's a money issue, whether it's a responsibility issue, like I said, we don't know. But yeah, we're just concerned, and we're also frustrated about how things happen. And so yeah, I'm still not pleased. It's yeah, I'm still, as you can see, I'm looking out to the outside. I'm just wondering how long is it going to take, even though they're saying, yeah, we're taking actions. They're saying, oh, we've got all these planning permissions applied and sent. How long is that going to take, though? So yeah, there's been, again, lots of talks about mitigating another potential fire happening on the balconies, and that's also what we thought they would do before we moved back. But as I already told you, that's not happened either. So yeah.
Is this a feeling held by most people who live here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we are in continuous communication, and yeah, a lot of people feel left down. Because, like I said, so much has been said, but at the end, whatever they said, whatever they've communicated, it hasn't resolved into anything, to be honest. Yeah, especially regarding wooden cladding, which is our main concern. So.
Yeah, and seemingly it's not a massively complicated issue to resolve, but they seem not be able to do anything.
I'm not an engineer. I'm not.
I mean, yeah, neither. I'm saying that from a completely layman's point of view here, but
I'm not in
even
charge.
so,
yeah, in terms of the money, but probably that might be one of the things. Like, they can't work out who's going to pay for this ultimately. So, right, it is a company. Ultimately, companies are interested in making money and keeping as much as they can.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I guess that's where the argument about should housing be put in private hands, and who holds them accountable.
Yeah, and also in terms of government, Samuel Garside House is shorter than 18 meters. So the rules do state that in terms of wooden cladding, you can do whatever you want. But I just want to say, with what happened with Samuel Garside House, hopefully it's a wake-up call that shouldn't be the case, and those regulations should be looked at. The same thing as the tragic incident in Grenfell. Right, they have clear regulations, but as you can see, even they are not fully waterproof and watertight. So yeah, and also regarding fire safety, stay put, like Samuel Garside is, and there's a lot still to be rectified. So.
Yeah, that's the point. So the stay put policy that didn't come into play with Samuel Garside's house, did it?
So the stay put policy was in place for a long time, but at some point that got changed to a evacuation policy.
Right.
The problem though is that they communicated to us that it was changed, but it was really a kind of paper kind of thing. And they never installed like audible fire alarm systems, or they never told us what to do. So yeah, stay put policy means that if a fire happens in your property, all the other residents, they should have sufficient amount of time to wait until the fire brigade is telling them to leave. The problem though is that with Grenfell, stay put properties do not take into consideration fires that actually happen externally. So like Grenfell, our fire started externally, a balcony, whereas Grenfell, it spread because of that wooden cladding, which was different components, but it was just as flammable, maybe even more.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say regarding the fire or your experience with management?
I think there's a lot that can be improved. There's a lot said, but we haven't seen a lot more that's been done. Since Samuel Garside House, there's been more fires, and I'm pretty sure they will continue to happen. There's a lot of buildings like Samuel Garside House that are encased in wooden cladding. You see how quickly it can spread, and there's a lot of concern still. And I do believe that if we are still allowing for properties to be built like Samuel Garside House or even Grenfell, where cladding is still a major concern, then everybody needs to start looking at that, whether it's architects, fire brigade, council. Allowing one thing is fine. Well, it's not even fine, but make sure that if properties are meant to be safe, that they are safe. So